Sandra. How are you?
Good morning. I'm feeling good. Everyone loves Victory Monday, right?
Right? Absolutely. So, we saw the highlights there. A lot to like about this performance from the U.S. women's national team. What was your biggest takeaway from this 3-0 result against China?
How comfortable they all looked, how less stressful this team looked. Players looking like they were finally playing with that freedom that we've been hearing that word so much. I think not over just these last few months with interim head coach, but even during that World Cup in the later stages where we wanted to see them kind of play like this and then maybe not look as tense or look as stressed in between the lines. And I think coming out of this game and everything that we heard going into it, sort of hearing this team saying, kind of feeling a little bit settled now is what it kind of looked like. And it just kind of looked like they were having a bit of fun as well, something that I think that we've also been looking for. And I think if you look at the shifts for the first 45 compared to the second, maybe we would still agree that the second half was a little bit better, maybe a little bit cleaner in terms of the finishing. But I think anytime you can get that first win in a new era, it's always a sign of good things to come.
Sandra, you kind of alluded to China's level, right? When we last had you on, how difficult is it to make an honest assessment of the U.S. women's national team when their opposition was so inferior? Or were they as inferior as you thought that they were going to be?
Look, I think if we're looking at just what we saw in front of us over the course of the 90 minutes, I don't think it's unfair to say that China themselves are also in a bit of a reset. I mean, this is a side that failed to get any shots at all during that first 45 minutes. And then finally tried to take a couple of chances late in that second half, but you're talking two shots with two shots on target overall. That's not a lot to maybe hang your hat on if you're the opposition finding themselves in a little bit of a similar scenario. So I think that was something that was intriguing going into this one. These are two programs that have faced each other for a very long time. They have history going back multiple decades at this point, have faced each other on really big international stages. And now they both try to close out 2023 after what were disappointing World Cup finishes for their programs. The United States failing to get out of the round of 16 and China failing to even get out of their group stage. So I think if you're looking at the bar, it's moving a little bit more for the United States than it maybe is for China as they try to kind of reassess things moving forward. But I would anticipate with the 2-game series that maybe we're going to see a little bit of a different look or a little bit of a different feeling or sense of urgency from China on Tuesday.
Sandra, maybe China's not the highest level that we can compare ourselves, but just from this sort of new era, what we should expect from Emma Hayes, what are some of the changes that you've seen that you think are impressive that we should be expecting that this team will continue to provide moving forward?
I think some of the things that we liked right off of the back that we can point to and say, good, good, good. Want to see more of that. I think everyone was really excited when we saw that 26-player roster come out. All of the information behind it, and the context behind it, that it was a little bit of a collaborative effort between Hayes, Kilgore, and U.S. Sporting Director Matt Crocker. They wanted to get a look at specific players during this final window of 2023. That was already the first little sprinkling, I think, that we saw of Hayes's effect or impact that she's going to have on this team. And then with Kilgore on the sidelines kind of controlling the day-to-day, what is that going to look like moving forward on the pitch? And I think we already saw that. Emma Hayes is a head coach that is no stranger to making player rotations, to try to get minutes across the board to multiple players. She's used to managing a lot of talent across a roster. And I think we saw that over the course of this 90 minutes. We saw them utilize all the subs. We got to see a little bit of a box midfield, something like a 4-2-2. And that was also a lot of fun to see too. We're starting to see this team maybe tweak some things or play into different systems and styles and formations, depending on what the game is giving them. I thought it was great to see the midfield play as high as they were at times. My goodness, we saw Emily Sonnet picking up some of these rebounds within the box. We got to see Casey Kruger out on the right side, really effective in the attack after being known as such a sort of a lockdown defender. So I think maybe that's what we're witnessing right now. We've heard a lot about communication from these players. We've heard multiple times in various media availabilities that was something that they wanted moving forward. They wanted an understanding of roles. They wanted effective communication. And I think we saw it come to fruition, specifically in Trinity Rodman in the game that she had, telling us ahead of time in the pre-match game availability that is something that she has enjoyed the most, kind of working under Twyla Kilgore, and now is looking forward to with Emma Hayes.
Sandra, you talked a little bit about the substitutes and, Jaden Shaw, Mia Fishel, Jenna Nyswanger, Midge Purse. What have you liked from them when they've come in, and who are you hoping to see start in this next match?
I think we were getting to a point where we got to see perhaps a full 90 or close to a 90-minute game from a Mia Fishel or Jaden Shaw. There's something about these two players when they've come on at the start of these second halves over the last couple of months that have really kind of changed the trajectory of some of these games. So we've got to see them kind of come in and put these second half shifts in, while Twyla Kilgore was still trying to kind of operate in that dual pivot, a bit of that 4-2-3-1. Now, what is that going to look like when they come into these games, or if they start these games in a little bit of a different tactical shift? So I'd like to see that duo specifically maybe get a little bit of extra time in this second game. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I really liked their positioning, the hold-up play between the two of them. I think it kind of opened some things up, and I think we saw that scoreline expand a bit in the second half because of it.
All right, Sandra, I'm going to ask you to do something a little strange right now. I want you to pretend that you're Emma Hayes, all right? And you just you watched this performance from the U.S. women's national team. How do you think she is feeling about this club and this team that she is going to take over in a few months? What would her takeaway have been from this performance?
Look, I hope she was watching that in real time. I hope she was catching the highlights. I hope she's maybe looking back at some of those replays, and every single time she's looking at some of the play from the players on the pitch, I hope she's taking a look at it and saying, "Yes, bruv, that's what I'm talking about." I wanna hear and feel that excitement from Emma Hayes. I think what we're seeing from these players, and in terms of this new change and this new wave, is already reflected in that first game. And I think we're going to want to eventually see that from their eventual head coach when she does get on the sideline. You want to share that sentiment. You want to echo all of the excitement and the energy that the players are kind of living up to at this moment. So I'm hopeful that she's, feeling all of that equally alongside the players. I would love to maybe even see, like, maybe someone's going to have a camera set up to get her reaction to some of this stuff if she's watching some of this stuff. So I'd love to see it. Yeah, for sure.
That'd be great content.
Yeah, bruv.
Let's make it happen. Sandra, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. Always great to see you.
Always happy to see y'all. Take it easy.